Cincinnati, Ohio, a beautiful fall afternoon in the city on the banks of the Ohio River. The shining beacon in the distance is Riverfront Stadium, home of the Cincinnati Bengals. This season, the Bengals have altered the course of their recent history. Since Sam Wyche became the head coach in 1984, Cincinnati had won a combined 5 games in September and October entering this season. But in 1986, Wyche had his team ready at the opening bell. With veterans like Anthony Munoz providing the leadership, the Bengals entered today's game against the Houston Oilers with a 4-2 record and a share of first place in the AFC Central Division. On the other side, Houston quarterback Warren Moon leads a team that has been able to win only one of its first 6 games. Moon has performed admirably, however, in the face of defeat. Only the Dolphins' Dan Marino has thrown for more yards than the Moon Man. But don't let the records deceive you. It's no time for a nap. As a matter of fact, on this Sunday in Cincinnati, these two seemingly mismatched teams will play one of the most exciting games yet to be seen in the NFL this season. The sun is shining brightly in Cincinnati, and at game's end it will remain shining on these division-leading Bengals. But that winning journey will be full of excitement and adventure. From Riverfront Stadium, it's the Cincinnati Bengals and the Houston Oilers on the NFL Game of the Week. Cincinnati quarterback Boomer Esiason has not enjoyed the kind of success he had a year ago when he was one of the most efficient and spectacular quarterbacks in the league. But on the Bengals' first offensive play from scrimmage, Boomer rekindled the old magic, and it produced 6 points. The 37-yard touchdown pass to number 80 Chris Collinsworth gave the Bengals the lead with less than 2 minutes having gone by. The scoring catch was Collinsworth's 5th of the season, and it appeared that this would be one of those games when the Cincinnati offense would be working on all cylinders. Certainly Sam Wyche hoped so, for the inconsistency that has plagued his team has prevented the Bengals from becoming one of the AFC's best. The Bengals would soon have the ball back, this time in Houston territory. They went for the first down on 4th and 1. Big Larry Kinnebrew got the call. But it was the Oilers' defense who answered, and Cincinnati was denied an important early opportunity to take charge of this divisional battle. Houston bounced right back. On the first play following the defense's stand, Warren Moon went long, and he found wide receiver Ernest Givens, number 81, for 43 yards. Givens is a rookie from Louisville, the same school that gave the Miami Dolphins Mark Clayton. And Givens is from the same mold, a 5-foot 9-inch dynamo who can both run by defensive backs and leap over them. Givens' grab brought the ball deep into Cincinnati territory. From there, Moon turned things over to running back Mike Rozier, number 33. Rozier's tough inside running finished off the scoring drive as he powered into the end zone from a yard away to tie the game at 7. Midway through the first quarter, the 4-2 Bengals and the 1-5 Oilers had exchanged touchdowns. For the next few minutes, however, the exchange would not be productive, certainly not from an offensive standpoint. What followed was a bit of strong defense with a smattering of inefficient offense. First, Esiason was sacked by Oiler defensive end Jesse Baker, number 75, on a key third down play. But the Oilers' offense then began a stretch of play that was more like the Keystone Cops than an NFL football team. Moon and his center had trouble executing the center's snap, and the ball squirted loose. When this bulk of humanity was sorted out, the Bengals had the football. But they couldn't do anything with it, so they tried a field goal. But lo and behold, Jim Breach's kick would be blocked. So the Oilers would get the ball back, and guess what happened? They mishandled another center snap. This time, they were fortunate enough to make the recovery, so they had another chance to get their offense in sync. The result, Moon was chased and sacked by the Bengals' John Simmons, number 25. The game was now in the second quarter, and the score remained tied. Sooner or later, somebody would have to break this futile spell that had engulfed Riverfront Stadium. It would be the Bengals, and the catalyst was their multi-talented running back, James Brooks, number 21. Brooks' 24-yard touchdown run early in the second period recharged Cincinnati's offense as the Bengals jumped in front 14-7. It was the beginning of a whirlwind afternoon for Brooks, whose quickness and acceleration would play a major part in deciding the outcome of this game. For now, the Bengals' swift halfback had Cincinnati in the lead, and for the Bengals, more would soon follow. Oilers head coach Jerry Glanville, in his first full season as an NFL head man, was not too pleased with the way his team was playing. His offense was simply not executing well, and his defense, while showing some signs of aggression, was not doing enough to shut down a Cincinnati offense that kept pounding away on the ground. Brooks and Kennebrew, number 28, were the main men in the Cincinnati march that consumed 7 minutes off the clock. Only 4 of the 13 plays were passes, but this 3rd and 9 toss to rookie Tim McGee, number 85, proved to be the most important play of the drive. The Bengals were soon knocking on Houston's end zone door, and they walked all the way in when Stanford Jennings, number 36, balled it over the top for Cincinnati's 3rd touchdown of the first half. The Bengals had taken charge of a half that had produced more sloppy play than crisp, efficient football. 5 minutes still remained, however, and the way this game was progressing, anything might happen. But the Oilers, losers of 5 straight following an opening day victory, were not particularly optimistic. They had found too many ways to lose to expect that they would come back against a division rival, particularly on the road. But in this strange game, the Oilers began to mount a comeback led by the passing of Warren Moon. Moon first went to running back Butch Woolfolk, number 40, for 24 yards. Then he went back to the diminutive dynamo Ernest Gibbons, who proved he's not only swift and elusive, but tough and resilient as well. Gibbons bounced right back to make another key catch 2 plays later that brought the ball to the Bengals' 4-yard line. From there, Moon found his other wide receiver, Drew Hill, number 85, for the touchdown. The score came with less than a minute remaining in the first half, and it got the Oilers right back into the game. The momentum had now shifted to Houston. They had refused to lay down and die in a game that could well have turned into a Cincinnati rout. But the Oilers had fought back, and their fight was not yet over. In the second half, they would battle once again, and for a few brief moments, it would appear that the Oilers would enjoy their place in the sun. But as the first half ended, it was Cincinnati with a touchdown advantage. The first half had been remarkably low-key for Boomer Esiason, who passed for only 5 completions. So he decided to increase his meager totals by throwing on nearly every down on Cincinnati's first drive of the third period. Boomer took to the air on 7 plays during the march, but near the goal line, the Oilers tightened. Defender Steve Brown would not allow receiver Eddie Brown to grab what would likely have been another Cincinnati score. So the Bengals called on Jim Breach for his second field goal try of the game. The Oilers had blocked Jim's earlier attempt, but this one was good from 51 yards, increasing the Bengal lead to 10. Trailing 24-14 in period 3, there was still plenty of time for Houston to regroup, and Cincinnati has one of the lowest-ranked defenses in the league. So the Oilers took a deliberate approach with short, safe plays to get their offensive momentum back. And it seemed to work early on their next possession. But the early appearances were deceiving. After finding some opening in the Bengal defense, those openings suddenly sealed up as Houston runners ran into a striped brick wall. Quarterback Warren Moon was also in for some rough treatment. Cincinnati's defenders allowed no significant gains on pass completions, and the Bengal rush stayed in Moon's face and on his back constantly. Just when it seemed that the Oilers were down for the count, Moon got off the canvas and put together a steady, if unspectacular, drive that killed 8 minutes off the clock and got Houston deep in Bengal territory. A 23-yard pass to Drew Hill set up a touchdown run from recent roster addition Ray Wallace, number 35. As the fourth quarter began, this was still a game either team could win. And in the final moments, a bizarre conclusion would narrowly decide just which of these teams it would be. With the game now close and time becoming a factor, Boomer Esiason stopped throwing and stayed on the ground with running backs Brooks, Kinnebrew, and Stanley Wilson. The Oilers gave up yardage grudgingly, but they did give it up, as Cincy used any method available to find daylight for its ground attack. Esiason even kept the ball in the runner's hands when he passed, sticking with short, safe dump-offs to Brooks and the Brew. Finally, Cincinnati was close enough for a Jim Breach field goal try. But Breach's kick from 41 yards sailed wide left, and the much-relieved Oilers took over, still trailing by only 3. But the smiles quickly turned to frowns as Houston could not move the ball. Boomer and his boys returned, this time ready to pass. But it proved to be a painful decision for the Cincinnati quarterback. Tight end Rodney Holman, number 82, made a first down on the catch. But the bells were ringing in Boomer's brain. A dazed Esiason soon left the field, replaced by Bengals all-time passing leader Ken Anderson. But Kenny didn't even have to throw when Cincinnati reeled off its longest gain of the afternoon. Larry Kinnebrew's 39-yard burst revitalized Cincinnati's offense and even brought back a suddenly healthy Esiason, who missed just the one play. 2 more solid runs from the Bengal backfield brought Cincy right to the goal line, only a few feet away from a score that could wrap up the game. But then the barely breathing Oilers took advantage of a big Bengal blunder, and suddenly the complexion of the contest was radically altered. Larry Kinnebrew fumbled. Linebacker Robert Lyles recovered, and when no one on Cincinnati touched him, Lyles decided to become a hero. Number 93 took the recovered ball 93 yards for the score, and a stunned Riverfront Stadium crowd watched as their team went from a game-winning touchdown situation to a 28-24 deficit. Cincinnati called for a review of the instant replay, and the officials awaited the verdict. But when the tapes were run back, the call was confirmed. No Bengal touched Lyles when he recovered the fumble. No whistle had blown. So the play was still alive. And with Lyles' alert recovery, this contest was rapidly turned upside down. A little over a minute remained when Lyles completed his shocker of a play. And the Oilers, losers of 9 of their last 10 games with Cincinnati, and in the midst of a 5-game losing streak so far this year, now seem to have reason to celebrate. This was the kind of play that has victimized the Oilers over the last few seasons, so it felt great to have it happen to someone else for a change. It was easily the greatest moment in Robert Lyles' 3-year pro career. But all this Oiler gushing was very premature. Cincinnati still had enough ticks on the clock and all their timeouts remaining. And with the game on the line, Boomer Esiason more than rose to the occasion. Esiason hit Collinsworth on the very first play, then was stopped on 2 successive tries. On 3rd and long, the Boomer went to the man who had come through time and again all day, James Brooks, and Brooks did not fail on this occasion either. With 49 seconds left and the Oilers expecting another pass, the Bengals crossed them up with a run by Brooks. And now it was Cincinnati's turn to pull off a shocker. Brooks capped off one of his greatest days ever with a score. He wrapped up a near 200-yard performance in rushing and receiving yardage by blowing past the startled Oiler defense en route to the game-winning touchdown. Houston's last gasp was quickly stifled moments later, and the Bengals escaped with a thrilling 31-28 victory. With the win, the Bengals improved their record to 5-2, a complete reversal of their annual autumn nosedives of seasons past. Cincinnati is in sole possession of first place in the AFC Central because they are finding ways to win where they once could not. Maybe last year the Bengals might have lost one like this, victims of a stunning turnaround that would send a young team reeling. But in 1986, the Bengals appear to have the talent and resilience to bounce back. The season is still young. There are plenty of games left to play. But this win may be the most valuable the Bengals earn all season, and a possible springboard to their first playoff appearance in many a year.